Hi everyone, I'm Tanya and welcome to my series on everything to do with entrepreneurship. My guest today is Nicole Myles Brook, who is very inspiring. She is an entrepreneur with a heart of gold who is doing a lot for her community. So nuggets of wisdom and insight coming to you. Stay tuned. Thank you so much, Nicole, for having us and inviting us into your beautiful space here.
Oh my goodness, it's my pleasure.
What I really find interesting with you is that you took on the Nook when it wasn't doing well. Mm-hmm. Why did you decide to take on a business that was failing?
Right. So my husband and I didn't really have much of an idea that the Nook existed prior to really investigating it as an opportunity. And 10 days before we wrote an offer on it as a bankruptcy sale offer, I had been in for the first time and was just invited by a friend. And I thought the space was lovely and it was very lively, and there was obviously, a great community space happening there. And then strictly from a business perspective, it was an opportunity to get the space, the equipment, grow on what they had already in the community and build on the community portion of what they had that was working. Mm-hmm. Because we knew with our albeit short experience in the food and beverage world, that we could make sense of the business model, and that we knew how to rehab that side of things, or we knew that we had resources that we could tap into in the way of mentors that we frequently ask for advice on that sort of thing. But it's so hard to build community and have rapport with community, and to go into an established space was something that was attractive and unique for us. So we just jumped in.
So, I really admire that, especially when I found out that, you took on the token program, which is providing tokens to people to either get a coffee and a bagel or a meal. There's two options that are in need. And so not only did you take on a business that was not thriving, you had to build that up, but you also created this program to help others. And in a lot of cases, it's subsidized by the Nook.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the token program and why that was taken on?
So I know it's a little bit of a headspin thing for people when you think of a for-profit business model also doing something where you're giving the same goods and services away, for nothing, or that's how it's perceived. So you have this for-profit side where you're hoping people are going to come in, patronize your business, and be, advocates and champions of your brand. And the other side is that you're noticing this deep-seated need in the community where you occupy your space, and feeling the urge and the huge compelling need that could not be ignored on our side. We didn't want to be in a position where we said, gee, we really wish we could do something, or we really should do something. We knew that we needed to do something. And so taking on the token program wasn't something that we really saw as optional or like a nice thing to do. We saw it as something we needed to do as being a part of that community, and we started doing research about what we could do. We didn't always know that it was going to be the Nook's token program. That came out of case study and building our relationships like we have with social services in the area, and folks like Mark Brand in Vancouver, who's originally from Dartmouth, who had already paved the way in terms of social enterprise, specifically in the area of food insecurity. So,
and I know you did not take this lightly. You actually did your research and you did study food insecurity, and I really admire that. What's been the feedback?
So the feedback has been interesting. I would say, 90 to 90+% of feedback that we hear is overwhelmingly positive, which is great. We've poured our heart and soul into this. It's not a revenue generator. It takes a lot of time. It is, it requires resources of ours. We do subsidize the program together with some of our food suppliers and our coffee supplier. So we have Izzy's Bagels out of Bedford subsidizing our source supply of bagels for the token program, and we have North Mountain Coffee subsidizing the coffee that we use for the token program. So if it wasn't for folks coming in and knitting together with us, the token program, and likewise the patrons and the community members who come in and buy the tokens, it wouldn't exist. And I think when we look at the program as a whole, it's really fostered this sense of the community coming together, and I think that is the greatest thing about the token program. And I think if anything comes out of it, I hope that it has planted a seed and that it inspires people to take on things that do seem challenging, but that there are creative solutions for.
Right. So what would be your advice to other entrepreneurs that are maybe considering giving back? Like I'm a new entrepreneur, but already I'm starting to think of how can I leverage what I'm doing to put it back out there in the community, to put love and compassion and create this ripple effect of goodwill around me.
Right.
And I don't have an answer yet. So what would be your advice to other entrepreneurs who are thinking about doing the same or something similar?
Right. I think the biggest thing is not making it become this, astronomical problem that seems so hard to solve. And you definitely don't have to have all the answers or the solution. Like, you can just make an attempt, like you do with anything in business, where you have an idea or you believe or you hope something will work. And I think when entrepreneurs put themselves out there in a way that says, hey folks, we're trying this, we're really hoping that you'll rally around us so that we can accomplish this together, and really putting your hand out and saying, we don't have all the answers, we're not just here to pat ourselves on the back and feel good about this, we need help and we need feedback and we need folks who have expertise that we don't, and really just trying to become a sponge. And I think the greatest thing that you just brought up was that if you're already thinking about it, if that's already in your mind, then that's the first step. So I guess the biggest piece of advice I would give anybody who's thinking about doing something is just to not be fearful that you're going to do it wrong, because like anything in entrepreneurship, it's a process of learning and adapting as you go. And I think once you've put yourself out there, how can somebody really be critical of you if you're really trying to do something good? And likewise, if you open yourself up for receiving support and feedback and expertise from those who've paved the way for you, then you're in a space where you can be learning and loving it at the same time, and of course doing something good.
This is what I've figured out as an entrepreneur. Like, everything can be figured out. And as long as it's coming from a place of authenticity.
Yes, exactly.
I feel.
Yeah.
What's been your biggest challenge as an entrepreneur in any aspect of business?
My biggest challenge, it's tricky probably to pinpoint one, but I think the biggest struggle being an entrepreneur is a lot of the time you wonder if you're doing something the right way, or if there could be a different way that you're doing it, because just like life in general or being a parent, there's no manual or script you can follow to check off these boxes and just proceed through some sort of prescribed way of doing things. So I think the biggest challenge and the most exciting thing too, like they go kind of hand in hand, is that you have to be flexible to roll with the punches, and you have to be malleable to learn and adapt and change.
How do you manage more than one business? This I can't wrap my head around. Because you have the Nook, and you have 2 locations.
Yes.
And you also have a virtual agency. And you're a specialist in public relations, branding, and marketing. How do you manage all this plus a life, plus a family?
We also have another business, so there's 4. We have a small startup property management and investment company, and each of the cafes are actually structured in their own business because they didn't start together. So they're, technically they're totally linked and they're sister locations, but they are two separate businesses, and there's therefore like 4 tax returns to be filed and 4, bank statements to look at and all of these things. But I think, and yes, we live a very full life. I don't love saying that we're busy because it's obviously a path that we've chosen, but I have an incredible husband who has supplementary skills to mine. He's a total math whiz, and he has basically an Excel spreadsheet of a brain. And I'm like, I like colors and words and language, and so we're a very good team, and we have an incredible family that supports us, and folks who are willing to mentor us and give us advice, and who we use as a soundboard. And I think the biggest thing for us is just trying to prioritize where the time needs to go that day or that hour.
Right.
And it's like anything in life where people say that they're multitaskers or they have, very full lives. It's just about priorities.
When I think of the whole of what I need to do, it freaks me out.
Right.
And I get anxiety and panicked. But I've really learned that you need to take it day by day, even hour by hour. What's the task at hand? What is priority right now? And
Absolutely.
I think that's really excellent advice. I know you have a lot going on, but what's next for you?
I think it would be lovely to have a little bit more balance. Both my husband and I, because we were gearing up for him leaving the military and retiring, and a lot of this was building an exit strategy. We're pulling our daughter from daycare for the summer, and we've got her in half-day camps. So one of us has to be there to pick her up at 12 because we want to enjoy time with her. And so I think sometimes what's next is sometimes allowing yourself a little bit of a period of grace and knowing when you need to do self-care or you need to dedicate time to your family. And on balance, like these little pockets of times when you're really, really busy and you're burning the wick at both ends, likewise time when you need a little bit of a reprieve. On balance, it all works out. And in the scheme of things, all these little pockets of time are pretty small, and our daughter's getting ready to go to grade primary in the fall, and we really want to latch on and capture the last few moments we have with her before she goes off on her great adventure.
Right. Nicole, I thank you so much for inviting us into your world today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I love what you're doing. I wish you all the success in the world, and thank you so much for all the good that you're doing for our community, and the compassion that you're putting out there and helping people. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tanya.